Three, two, one.
We'd like to welcome you to another edition of Grok Talk, brought to you by New Hampshire's leading conservative blog site, GraniteGrok.com. We are your feared, extremist, right-wing, hard-charging, gun-toting, opinionated, outspoken, rabble-rousing, letter-writing, radio microphone stomping conservatives and rational libertarians. So get ready for more news and opinion you could only get from GraniteGrok.com.
Grok Talk.
And it's news and opinion you can get on iTunes, Stitcher, Spreaker, TuneIn, and iHeartRadio. I've also started posting to a Tumblr blog, so if you're into the Tumblr universe, you can now start hearing the latest in Grok Talk podcasting there. We are also, of course, on YouTube in a couple different places, and we are also on Ustream, which you may be watching right now as you watch our program. And this program is a boon to us because we have an opportunity to take what we do during the week in print and talk about it and invite guests in to tell us things that we might not necessarily know about what's going on in the state. Because you can't know everything. You got to work, right? You got to...
And that's it. We don't do this full-time by any means, although we wish we could. So if you're a sugar daddy out there, we'd be happy to
if you'd like
do
to
what
pay
we do
us
full-time.
and hook us up, we'd be happy to say, there's our check writer. Our principles haven't changed. Thank you very much. So we move into our next segment, and our next guest is Victoria Sullivan. She is representing the New Hampshire House from Hillsborough 16, and welcome to the program.
Thank you for having me.
Great to have you here. So you wrote a bill, or you sponsored a bill, I should say.
I did.
HB 332.
Yeah.
And that's what we're going to talk about. It is an act relative to school district policy regarding objectionable course material. I have to stumble over at least one word a week. That's a rule. And I guess that's the one. So
There's only one. You're doing far better than I am.
Thank you.
I've already had two today.
This bill requires school districts to provide advance notice to parents and legal guardians of course material involving discussion of human sexuality or human sexual education. So, is this something that a constituent suggested? Is this tell us about the genesis of this?
Well, this is actually an amendment to a bill that exists that says that parents can opt out of certain material. That bill does fall short of saying that parents have to be notified of such material. And I did have an issue with my own child with health class material that he saw that I didn't know until after the fact, and I would have chosen for him not to. And I think he would have made the same choice. That he was very upset that he saw a video on. It was Good Touch, Bad Touch. It was under the title of assertive speech. So as an involved parent, which I am, I was president of the PTA at his school for 2 years. I am very much in touch with teachers. I follow their curriculum, and I kind of had an eye out for these things because, every child is different, and there's certain material that parents would prefer to either prepare their children for ahead of time or handle themselves. And I kind of kept an eye out for this sort of thing, and it got past me. So it was under the title of assertive speech, and it went on to talk about, actually show an uncle and a nephew hanging out, looking at baseball cards, and then the conversation went in a different direction where you knew that he had just been molested. So
Lovely.
It was kind of heavy material for third grade.
Oh, third grade.
Oh.
Third grade.
What are they doing?
Third grade.
And I didn't know that he even saw it. I have two sons. One's 8, and the one I'm referring to now is 10. But this happened last year. And we have a very open dialogue. I'm a stay-at-home mom. We talk about everything. It's just, they'd probably tell me too much. So, a friend had called me and asked me about the video, and I just was blindsided. I knew nothing about it, but her child had been upset by it. And when I asked him, he all of a sudden withdrew, and he got very uncomfortable, and it was very difficult for me to see because he's not that kid. And I kind of let it go, and, we had breakfast and talked about other things, and I revisited it. And he just said, Mom, I don't want to talk about it. It was just too disturbing. So I ended up going to the school and asking to see the video myself. And I think if he had seen this video in middle school, he would have been okay. But I think at his age, it was too confusing. I mean, I don't know as an adult, we explain to kids.
We're having phone problems today.
Yeah, I
Keep
think
talking.
it's at our end.
I think it is.
Victoria, you still there?
Sense to an 8-year-old or a 9-year-old.
Yeah.
I just think in that situation there was a better way to handle it, and I would have preferred to handle it myself.
Oh, sure.
And in every family, these are conversations. When we were kids, no one talked about this kind of stuff, and bad things happened, and bad things still happen. But the conversations are much more open. I mean, when you go to get your child a wellness exam, the doctor brings it up. And I think most families have these conversations in their homes anyway, and they cover it now in Cub Scouts. I mean, it's just not a hidden topic anymore, and it should be discussed. But there are just ways that other parents should choose how it's handled.
Oh, and definitely in that particular instance. I mean, in a related note, the most famous case with regard to material of a sexual nature, whether it's appropriate or not, was, of course, Billy Bear when his daughter brought home the book 19 Minutes by Jodi Picoult, and, of course, it has teen sex in it. It's quite graphic. And she was alarmed by it. He was alarmed by it. He tried to talk to the school board. He got arrested, and 8 months later, and who knows how much in legal fees, and he's been exonerated. But he went through that whole process, all of which could have been prevented if somebody had just said in advance, "We have this book. It has some explicit material in it. Do you want your child access or not?"
Exactly, and it was the most passive arrest I think I've ever witnessed. It was, I wish the police had at some point said this doesn't make sense, but and I'm sorry that he and his taxpayers had to go through that. But yes, if a notice had come home and said this might be questionable, you might want to take a look at it, none of that would have happened.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Victoria, this is Skip, and I actually live in Billy Bear's hometown, and subsequently went to a couple of the school board meetings afterwards. But in reading around the blogosphere, it is absolutely clear that those on the left really do wish to push a sexual agenda down as far as you go. I read about what some of these folks want to do at the kindergarten level, and I just go, I can't believe you guys believe that you have the right to basically fill these little kids' heads with this kind of stuff where their parents know it's not right. And their attitude, and that's really what it is, the teachers and these activists that come into the classrooms wish to push this sexualized agenda down as far as they can go. Basically, they want to transform our kids and overrule parental sense of morality, what's good, right, and the timing that the parents know better to bring up these things. At that age, it's not right to teach most of the stuff these people are trying to push.
Right. You're breaking up just a little bit.
Oh, yeah.
I'll hang on until it works itself out. No longer of what they want to do or wish they could do, becoming federally mandated. So if you look up the federal guidelines for what's coming down the pike with the Common Core health guides, I think you will both be shocked at what's coming down at young ages. Talking about sexual harassment in elementary school, the difference between flirting, playing, and sexual harassment. These kids, my 10-year-old girls, and they chase him at recess, they don't have any idea about flirting or sexual harassment. They're just playing. Sure, you pull the pony of the girl class.
We're definitely having a phone issue.
And to define them as sexual harassment is shocking to me, especially at ages where they don't even know what that means.
Oh, no kidding.
And I sat in on a sexual abuse prevention meeting up at the State House, and this is at elementary school level, and they're talking about gender-based bullying in 5th grade, and identifying your gender as young as 2nd grade. And influences in your life that make you think of gender in one way or another. In elementary school, boys are boys and girls are girls. At this point, think about who's influencing that. When my boys were very young, they picked up a stick and it became a weapon immediately. No one told them that that's what boys are supposed to do. So I agree with the agenda. I don't think it's...
Yeah.
Okay, Victoria, we're going to take a quick break. I'm going to have Skip hang up on you and call you back because we're having problems with the phone line. But don't go away. He's going to call you right back. Okay. Stay tuned. We're going to take a break, and I'm going to push some buttons, and here we go.
This is a coalition of New Hampshire taxpayers. We're located at 8 North Main in Concord, New Hampshire. This is a repository for all things conservative and municipal. So if you have a problem in your town, your school, your budget committee, the Right to Know law, and now at the top of our list is voter fraud. You have a tip for us, some information for us, you want to join or help us out, cnht.org.
Hi, this is Rich Gerard, host of Gerard at Large in the Morning, the Manchester area's only locally owned, locally operated, focused, and interested, riveting radio show, heard live every Monday through Friday from 6 to 9 on 90.7 FM WLMW, New Hampshire Family Radio, and available 24/7 live or archived at gerardatlarge.com. Be sure to tune in.
Grok Talk. It is Grok Talk. I made that sound that I try not to make. I hate that. Listen to the show and I'm like, I hear my lips separate as I open my mouth. That's one of those microphone discipline issues we were talking about earlier that we're still working on. Welcome back to Grok Talk. We're talking to Victoria Sullivan, Hillsborough 16, New Hampshire State House, about the appropriateness of various forms of educational material in public schools, any school really, and we've been having some problems with the phone line. We're pretty sure it's the router and our connection our end, because we've had this problem with, is that Mike? We've had this problem with all our guests today, and everybody's on the phone. So, Victoria, I apologize for any issues that we might be having.
That's okay. I just wanted to make, I'm on a delay in my kitchen, so I just wanted to say that I cut out a little bit, and I don't agree with the agenda. I agree that there is an agenda.
Correct.
So I just wanted to make that clear.
Yeah. Nope, that's okay. Good. That's good, because you'd be like, oh, wait a minute, I'm going to catch hell for that. Oh,
right.
Baby.
And but, and I've had stories come to me through email from parents across the state with, far more devastating stories than my son or, even Mr. Bear's daughter. 13-year-olds being taught in health class how to perform certain sexual acts. That some of these kids are in sports, they've never even kissed a boy yet, and they're coming home talking about anal sex and oral sex. And this is in New Hampshire, and it's not in Manchester, but it's close by. And kids are being robbed of their innocence because we're instilling these things in them that they're not ready in a lot of cases to hear. Now, it's not all kids across the board. I know some kids, start experimenting at younger ages, but we're doing a one-size-fits-all education when that's not at all how kids are made.
Oh, I agree. I mean, all three of my children are different about the way they've absorbed information. A lot of it on the school bus, not actually even in a classroom. But, we always told them,
whole different kind of education on the school bus.
There's always a different kind of education on the school bus. All the words they learned that my wife's like, did they hear that from you? I'm like, no, that was the school bus.
Right.
Go ahead.
Hey, Victoria.
That's Mike. Mike's on the other line.
Hi, Mike.
Okay, Skip, you were going to ask a question.
Yes. Victoria, one of the things that as a blogger, when I go to some of these school meetings and listen to some of the teachers and also to town meetings, I definitely get the impression, I've blogged about it before, talked about it before, that teachers, there seems to be an agenda to separate the kids from the parental authority.
Yeah.
We see that in other areas of life, but really the last few years you see it over and over again where the teachers have the idea that the parents just aren't with it anymore, they don't know enough about their own kids, that the kids are the teachers and not the parents. So when you went to the school to complain about this, did you get any sense that they were kind of condescending to you? Yeah, we'll listen, we'll talk to you, but that overtone or the undertone, depending which way you want to go, was like, who the heck are you talking about? Go home and stay there.
Right, and I will say this, my son's teacher, his regular teacher, because they go to specials for health and gym and music, was incredibly compassionate and made sure that he was okay, and she was actually shocked herself. She's a mom, and I think it makes a difference if you're a parent and a teacher or not. I think a lot of that attitude comes from the administration, and it trickles down to parents don't need to know, and we're going through that right now, kind of fighting. They're changing the safety protocols at school, and parents have been told they don't need to know because it will endanger the children if they know. And I think we really need to do checks and balances to say these are our kids.
Who's working for who?
Exactly. And you're right, and it does happen. I think And I'm not going to say this for all health teachers either, because I know there is one in Manchester that is diligent about sending out notifications, opening her doors to parents. But I think that they live by it's better to ask forgiveness than permission philosophy. And I completely agree from I just read recently about a teacher that sent home a lunch with a nasty note because it didn't meet her standards. And
Yep.
they are losing touch, but it's our fault. I'm going to say that straight out. It's the parents' fault. Yes, there's some of us that are waking up and paying attention and fighting back. But for how many years did parents continue to give up all of their rights to their kids? I mean, how many kids have breakfast at school? And, we kind of gave it up. And now we have to turn around and say, wait a minute, this was wrong. We need to fight, and we need to pull it back.
I think that some of that, I think we can follow the history back to the increase in single parenthood, and all of it kind of correlates into the way the left thinks, the progressives thinks, the unions think, the bureaucracy think, and it kind of builds up this situation, this culture where you need those things. So you have to say, well, was this the plan all along, or But I would say, if a teacher sent home a note in my child's lunchbox, they would be very impressed with the series of notes that they would get from me after that.
Yeah, it wouldn't go over too well here either, as you can probably imagine. But yeah, so we have breakfast at school now.
Mike's trying to. I'm sorry. I gotta see. Mike wanted to ask you a question. I apologize.
Okay.
Go ahead, Mike.
I was saying, Steve, that's an interesting concept, because I think the Great Society was the beginning of a whole bunch of these things. As you say, the liberal government created a dependent class, created a need, and then proceeded to provide solutions for the problems that it created. Except they're not really solutions. They're just layers upon layers of problems. And somebody somewhere thought they were going to create a wonderful class of docile workers. And I think what they've got is these inner city breeder factories that don't do any parenting, depend on the schools, and produce not exactly what they were looking for, a perfect non-working class.
I was going to say that New Hampshire is a little bit different. I mean, we are in the Northeast, but we have a real kind of country feel because we don't have a lot of metropolitan areas, and the ones that we do have are pretty tiny, really, in comparison. So you don't really get that whole urban footprint thing. But that doesn't seem to have affected the interest of the left in pushing all of this on top of us.
No, and the more that we take on the responsibility, the more responsibility is expected for us to take on. So it's just not working, and we need to get back down to the family and making that a priority in this country, and putting some more pressure on keeping family units together, because this just isn't working. I have a friend who just posted something. She works with homeless children, and it was about human trafficking, and it's in this country, it's in this state, and it's happening because these girls have no home life. So someone offers them something better, and now they're prostitutes at 12 years old. I mean, it's all part of the same structural breakdown of our society, and we really need to get a grasp on it. Parents need to start paying attention. You need to start reaching out to those families that need you in the community, and get back to community and local control.
Yeah. Now, one of the things that I heard during one of our town meetings from the schoolies, and I call them that, the schoolies, because we kept on saying, the enrollments are going down. How come the budget is going up? And one of them kind of looked at me.
That's funny, also.
Yeah. Well, one of them kind of muttered under her breath, but loud enough for me to hear, well, the enrollment's down, but the needs keep going up. And then she looked at me, and her eyes went open, and as in, oh, gosh, he heard me. And I've used that line ever since.
Hey, did I say that out loud?
Right.
Yeah. And, I keep looking at that and go, it is the over-empowerment of those that are supposed to be working for us. So going back to your bill that you've introduced, what has been the reception of the bill? Obviously, I would imagine that most of your conservative lawmakers are okay with this, but are you getting any pushback from the Democrats or even the establishment or left-leaning Republicans?
I haven't. It hasn't gone to hearing yet, so I'm sure I'll have a few surprises there, but I really haven't. The pushback I'm getting more is from my fellow conservatives who don't think it goes far enough.
Okay.
They would rather see, and you have to sign in instead of opt out. I don't think that will pass with who we have in there currently, and I'm afraid to raise too many red flags on this. I'd rather keep the bill the way that it is and give parents the opportunity to opt out and maybe work for something we've got a governor that would be more on our side than to try to do that now. It's not something I don't agree with. I would rather have an opt-in, But people with far more experience than I suggested to take it one step at a time so we don't lose the rights that we've already legislated for, which is, it's unfortunate that we are now legislating for parental rights because they should just be ours and they should be asked of us. We shouldn't be having to sign into law that we need to be notified of things that our children are seeing.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. Could you do us a favor? We're trying to follow certain bills that we think are, at the cusp of liberty or non-liberty. If you could arrange to have a camera at that hearing,
I will try.
I would
someone
do.
else asked me, so.
I would do all of the post-processing and put it up on Granite Rock so people could see it. Because I think this is something that is extremely important, as you said, for parental rights, to see what the legislator, to show people what your legislators that you've elected actually think about this, to say who's in charge, parents or society.
I don't know if you can hear me. I've lost you completely.
Oh, no, we got you. Can you hear us? Hello? I don't know if she can hear us. I can hear her. She can't hear us. We're still having phone issues. Well, maybe she'll pop back in. I was going to say that I noticed that you have a couple of other Manchester reps here as co-sponsors, Will Infantine and Joe LaChance, who I was emailing with about another bill. Regarding, I forget.
Joe's a good guy.
HB, I don't even remember what it is now. I forgot. I wrote about it 3:35 maybe earlier in the week. It was regarding certain material at polling places, and I had talked to them about it. And of course, they were saying, well, sometimes you have these pictures of these huge poster-sized pictures of these aborted babies and some things that are a little bit graphic.
Yeah,
and of course,
it is one. I think it stemmed from one in particular that doesn't go away.
And so I had talked, I'd written about it already, and I had mentioned, had emailed both of them yesterday because they did get back to me, and I said, well, here's my problem. I said, first of all, you have to compare this to the standard of everywhere else a parent might take their child. And you also have to accept the possibility that if you give a moderator that much power, that they're going to abuse it and that you are going to lose some free speech or some campaign speech, and that's not worth the risk. So the language has to be very careful. In your circumstance, I agree completely. Incrementalism is incredibly important in advancing policies in a way that's much more palatable to people. And I don't mean that in a bad way. That's just the way you have to do it,
Right.
And having the opt-out is an excellent step to get towards what you really want, which is to return rights to parents.
Thank you. Yes, I agree.
Right.
Yes, I will definitely try to get a camera in there. I will keep you updated as to how this goes, and I really appreciate you letting me come on and take the time to speak about it.
Sure, we got a couple more minutes. Do you have any more bills or issues you want to cover?
Yeah, actually, Victoria, real quick, if you get the video, I will do all the post-processing, the post-production work to get it up on Granite Rock, so the offer's there.
Okay, great. If I have another minute, I just want to talk about the flip side of this bill.
You have 4 minutes.
If parents, do have access to the material and they do think it's okay and they do send their kids into that lesson, it gives them the opportunity to discuss it with them beforehand. It gives them the opportunity to follow up with them if they have any questions or confusion about it. So it's not just about seeing it and shutting it down. It's also about opening up the line of communication and involving.
Oh, here we go again. Now we're breaking up again. It's this phone line. Sorry. Hopefully you'll pop back in here any second. No. Come on. There we go. Hi. Boy, this phone thing, this weather's... I don't know what's going on with the phones today.
No, it's not good. We'll reboot the router next week.
Yeah, and make sure we get it. I'm sorry, Victoria, if you're still talking and you can hear us, we lost you. And I think that's probably that's going to be the end of it for our segment, and I appreciate having you on. What I was going to say is, one of the things that people don't mention is that, if they're so concerned...
We lost the live stream, too. We may have lost the internet.
We lost the internet. Oh, no. Mike, are you there? Nope. Yeah, we're down. Okay, so anyway, I'm going to keep talking for the recording. I was going to say the best possible student-to-teacher ratio is 2 parents to 1 child, or even under the worst of circumstances, 1 parent to 1 child. And that's far more 1-to-1. I mean, even if you have as we were talking to Jorge about, if you have a 10-to-1 ratio of full-time teachers to students, or even a 16-to-1 ratio, that's still 10-to-1 or 16-to-1. It's not 1-to-1. And parents really do deserve the opportunity to be engaged and involved. And if you invite them in, if you say, listen, we want you to opt into this, or we need to know if you want to opt out. Now you're asking them, you're involving them in the process. You're saying, we need your opinion on this material because you know your child better than anybody else, or at least you should. And then you can make that decision. And that decision can be, yes, I feel my child is ready for this material. I feel that they're worldly enough or informed enough or stable enough emotionally to engage in a debate or a discussion or to be exposed to certain kinds of material that might want to be presented in a classroom. I certainly don't see why third grade. Boy, I tell you, that was a shocker. But we want to thank Victoria for coming on the program, and we'll have to have her back when the weather's being more accommodating and the router's being more accommodating. And for those of you who have been catching up on the podcast since we lost our live stream, thanks for coming back and checking it out to hear the rest of what happened. Coming up in the next segment, it is the cleanup round. Everybody's here to bat fourth. Mike will be hopefully back on the phone if we can get the router rebooted. Skip and I, of course, are here, and we're going to continue the program. We're going to talk about news and events of the week, some of the things that we've been blogging about, and who knows. We've had Rand Paul was here 2 weeks ago at the Londonderry Fish and Game Club. The union rolls are down again nationally. We can talk about that. SB 116, which is a constitutional carry bill, is coming up for a hearing Thursday. And Susan Olson will be with us next Saturday for our Second Amendment segment to help us cover that and discuss what went on at that hearing. I'm sure there's going to be a really large turnout for that one. And we could touch on the State of the Union, which wasn't really all that exciting an event. And, of course, it was overshadowed completely by the Deflategate issue with the Patriots AFC Championship game. Excuse me. We have the Earl of Metzler and news on Atkinson, which we touched on briefly earlier in the program. An Atkinson taxpayer was contacted by the police about at the behest of the Earl of Metzler, the superintendent of the Timberlane School District, SAU 55. And this taxpayer spoke to the police and answered their questions, and then suggested that they ask the Earl of Metzler some questions. And a few hours later, his investigation was dropped, and he's engaging in a right-to-know request with the police department for all the information, details, fun and exciting stuff about who was called when, who asked what, where, why, and how, so that turnabout is fair play. He's going to find out why this was started, what the conversations were, and he's probably going to make all that public, and we're looking forward to that. So,
and we've lost our internet.
We've lost our internet?
Gone, down.
Okay, no.
Hopefully
internet.
A reboot will get it back, but I'm still not showing anything.
Okay, well, I don't.
We're done. We're host.
We're host. No, we still have a podcast to record, and that's what we're going to do. We'll be right back. Stay tuned.
New Hampshire is famous for scenic drives, but they're tough to enjoy when you're on your way to the doctor. Because Obamacare limits your choices, some will have to drive more than an hour to see a doctor. What's health insurance worth if care isn't there when you need it? Jean Shaheen voted for Obamacare, putting your doctors and hospitals further out of reach. Tell Senator Shaheen Obamacare is not working for New Hampshire.
Jean Shaheen and her allies are making false claims about her record on veterans. The truth? Shaheen refused to meet with veterans pushing for reform. She wasn't on the committee that wrote the reform legislation and refused to co-sponsor important VA reforms in the VA Management Accountability Act until after the VA scandal broke. When our veterans needed her, Jean Shaheen was AWOL. Tell Jean Shaheen to stop distorting the truth and fix the VA.
Hi, this is Rich Gerard, host of Gerard at Large in the Morning, the Manchester area's only locally owned, locally operated, focused, and interested, riveting radio show, heard live every Monday through Friday from 6 to 9 on 90.7 FM WLMW New Hampshire Family Radio, and available 24/7 live or archived at GerardAtLarge.com. Be sure to tune in.
This is a coalition of New Hampshire taxpayers. We're located at 8 North Main in Concord, New Hampshire. This is the repository for all things conservative and municipal. So if you have a problem in your town, your school, your budget committee, the right to know law, and now at the top of our list is voter fraud. You have a tip for us, some information for us, you want to join or help us out, cnht.org.